We've heard a lot about these kind of fantastic, how you immersed yourself in the part. You weren't kind of, I know you don't like the word method, but there's elements of that. Is it difficult to do that when other people on a cast aren't doing it? Like, is it? I imagine it's maybe a bit like that anxiety dream where you turn up to a party in fancy dress and no one else has done. Is it a bit like that?
It's not exactly. For this film, it was kind of easy because my work was all with Harley, Margot. So it was contained, it was isolated from the rest of the cast, but it did set up a dynamic and with the other characters because they're all in the squad and the Joker is kind of on the outside. So I was isolated, they really bonded, and I was off in, you know, the corner of the cafeteria kind of watching all the other kids have a good time in a way.
Obviously this is a music magazine. It struck me that the Joker is probably the most punk rock of all superhero villains. And I wondered if you kind of channeled any musicians, rock stars, rappers, anyone, when you were kind of formulating your character.
I spoke to a writer who, and we discussed David Bowie a bit. Not necessarily the music of David, but his class, his elegance, his timelessness. This was I don't want to, say who the guy was, but he's a famous writer in the world of DC. But Bowie was definitely one of the people we spoke about. And I think David Bowie is probably an inspiration for like almost anything you could do creatively. Yeah.
The Joker's origin story is quite unclear in the comics and the TV series. Did you kind of decide how he became the Joker in order to inhabit that character?
Yeah, you make if it's not there generally, you make something up so you have a sense of where you came from because you never know you just ask a lot of questions in preparation. You know, where was I from? What happened?
So what is your theory?
How much time do we have?
10 seconds.
I don't think that's going to happen. But, you do those things in hopes that it answers some kind of question or provides some information or psychology so that when you do a scene, it informs that, Just like writing a piece, you might do a ton of research and maybe some of it doesn't end up in the article, but it informs maybe a question you might ask or something.
I think one thing I thought, and a lot of people thought, is that there wasn't quite enough Joker in it. We used to see superheroes get their own films. Do you think it's time that a supervillain was the star of a film? And would you like to kind of play the Joker as a standalone film?
Well, I'll answer in reverse. Yes, I think that would be great to dive in deeper to the Joker and expand the story and to learn a bit more about this sick and twisted but lovely strange man. And yes, I'd like to see a little more Joker in Suicide Squad too. We shot so much footage. There are so many scenes that are not in the film. I haven't seen the movie yet, so I don't know exactly what's been cut out or not, but I do understand it's a bit of an introduction to the Joker now. It's a bit more of a supporting part than maybe it could have been if they used everything, but they have a method to their madness.
So that's essentially a confirmation that you will come back as the Joker and fill it in.
I don't know. I mean, it really depends on the response. I think if people respond to this Joker and if they have a good time with this version of the Joker, then I could imagine him coming back. But if not, I'll just go live in a fucking cave somewhere.
Have you looked at the response to the film so far?
I've heard that there's been a very mixed response. It's easy to hear that. But I haven't seen the film, and I'm in the film so little. That's all kind of has, that's really has not very much to do with me and what I'm doing now, like talking and sharing the film and stuff.
So it struck me that you were probably working on your next album while you were getting into the character. Is he coming out in the lyrics at all? Is this is there a dark, twisted aspect to the next album?
I think I've had enough dark and twisted with 30 Seconds to Mars over the years. I don't need any like Joker input. We've kind of gone through our dark and twisted period. We're more in the like kind of aspirational, self-reflective period or something. I don't know. But we are working on our 5th album right now, and we've written probably, I think, 40 or 50 songs, and we're getting closer and closer to being finished. I always want to put an album out sooner. Every time I make an album, I go on tour. I'm going to put it out, make an album fast this time, in a year or two, but it always takes me like 4 years. I'm just so slow.
So, the fans are desperate to know what the next album's like. What can you tell them in terms of a few
It's
hints?
very, very different. I mean, I think our last album was maybe a bridge between where we were and where we are now. And it's a very, very different album. And I think that's exciting. Every time you make an album, every time you write a song, you have the ability to kind of redefine, reimagine, and to experiment and take chances. And I'm a big believer that it's okay to let go of your past and to move forward and explore new territory. So that's what we're doing.
So sum up the sound in 3 words then, just to excite people.
I think probably oh God, I'm so bad at the 3-word thing. But it's very sexual.
What a great way to leave it.
That's 3 syllables, not 3 words, but it'll have to do.